and my organization is the Delaware Riverkeeper Network. Our organization operates throughout the 4 watershed states of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. The Delaware Riverkeeper Network supports the proposal to list Atlantic sturgeon as endangered. And particularly, we support the listing of the New York Bight distinct population segment as endangered. But we would like to ask NOAA and the National Marine Fisheries Service to consider the following modification of the proposed actions in the public notice. We would like to ask you to consider delineating the Delaware River population as its own distinct population segment, and that it be listed independently as endangered. We would like to urge the listing of the Delaware River population, whether it's as its own distinct population segment or as part of the New York Bight DPS, to be listed on an emergency basis. Because there are a lot of projects that are currently in the works that are coming down the pike, and that if we have to wait for nearly a full year for this endangered species listing, it may, for the Delaware River population, be too late. We would also like to urge that as part of the listing, you identify the entire Delaware estuary as critical habitat to ensure the level of habitat protection necessary to sustain this important population. I'd like to give a little more detail on why we're making each of these requests. The Delaware River population of Atlantic sturgeon has been shown to be genetically distinct. It is genetically unique, and therefore, from all other rivers in the United States, and therefore it should be listed as its own distinct population segment. According to scientific study, haplotype A5 is private to the Atlantic sturgeon of the Delaware River. The Endangered Species Act encourages listing of distinct population segments of species in order to ensure conservation of genetic diversity. The Delaware River has its own distinct genetic line. It's unique, it's different, it's distinct from all other Atlantic sturgeon in the United States. And therefore, under the law, it should be protected from its extinction in its own right as its own distinct population segment. To lump the Delaware River and Hudson River populations as one gives a dramatically inaccurate picture of the health of the Delaware River population, which by some credible accounts now stands at less than 100 spawning adults. The Hudson River population is believed to be one of the healthiest Atlantic sturgeon subpopulations within the United States. And according to the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Hudson River population may have in the range of 870 spawning adults per year. By comparison, the Delaware River genetically unique stock is among the worst in terms of its shape as a population, and there may, by some estimates, be less than 300 spawning adults, and again, by other credible sources, it's believed that there may, in fact, be less than 100 spawning adults left in the Delaware River. As a result, if the Delaware River population is lumped in with the Hudson River population, there is an appearance that the Delaware River population is much healthier than, in fact, it really is. By lumping the two together, the Delaware River population may not receive the appropriate level of protection, and that the protection that it does receive from a listing may be removed prematurely if the Hudson River population dramatically increases at a rate much quicker than the Delaware River population. There may be a false appearance that both populations have restored themselves. The endangered species status may be removed, and then the Delaware population, which may still be at depressed levels, would be put at risk unnecessarily and inappropriately so. As I said, the Delaware River population of Atlantic sturgeon is at direct risk from a number of projects that are on trajectory for fast implementation coming up this year. An endangered listing decision for the Delaware River population must be done on an emergency basis and at a minimum be made before the end of January 2011 if it's to protect the species from these known harms. Some of the projects that are barreling down the pike on the Delaware River Atlantic sturgeon are the Delaware Deepening, as you heard mentioned here this evening, the Southport River Fill Project, the Airport Expansion Project, natural gas drilling using hydraulic fracturing in the upper portions of the Delaware River watershed, and the LNG Crown Point project, which currently is on hold, but everybody has reason to believe could reemerge at any point in time.